race. He's Rick, and we got Dylan in the house tonight. Dylan, how's it going, buddy? How? Quick recap of what's your thoughts before we dive into it. But what are your quick thoughts on this NASCAR race from Nashville?
For NASCAR, I don't know, kind of what you expect from Nashville, really. Uh, there was the restarts were kind of crazy. Um, there was a few people that, they were able to save it. They snapped loose on them. They were able to save it. That was nice to see. Typically, you don't really see that many saves in a race. Um, yeah, I mean, just overall, it was okay. Nothing really stands out to me that was, groundbreaking or anything like that.
I got you. What about your thoughts? I know we're going to recap the Formula One race in this too, but quick thoughts, Formula One.
Formula One, I mean, I was entertained by the race, actually. I watched it start to finish, and yeah, I mean, it had a lot of entertaining moments to it. I thought that it had a little bit more than some of the other races that we've seen this year so far, for sure. So that was good to see.
Yeah. If you could go back and watch one race from yesterday, which are you picking? NASCAR or Formula One?
Formula One.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, we'll get into that. We're going to get into that a little bit. But I wanted to pose that question. And then, old man, I will give that to you. And then you'll have the same question as Dylan. If you had to go back and watch one race from yesterday,
Formula One. I was awake.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, knowing what you know now, though, still.
Yeah, Formula One.
Okay.
I mean, I think that Dylan was spot on. Besides, it was the most entertaining, probably, race. Certain parts of it was.
Gotcha.
So the Max thing and George and Charles.
Oh yeah, that's pretty interesting over there. So okay, but anyways, other than that, Nashville takeaways. Quick thoughts before we actually get into
Nashville. Like I said, there was a lot of saves. Everybody but Bowman. Bowman saved his, but he saved it into Rick Gregson, but ruined his day, which I had him in my race pool as fantasy.
Nice.
Got me a nice 38th place finish there, and so 10 points. But yeah, it was a good race. Tires didn't have enough fall off on the left sides, according to some. And it was a mediocre 60-something point race on the Gluck Bowl.
Yeah, pretty
67,
chill.
65, somewhere in there.
I thought there was going to be more no's than there was yes, but somehow it ended up becoming a pretty solid, somewhat solid-ish race. I know last time we thought we knew what we were doing, we ended up got told wrong. So I'm just saying it was somewhat-ish solid. So, but anyways, we'll go with NASCAR first. Ryan Blaney secured his first win of the 2025 NASCAR Cup season at the Crackle Barrel 400 in Nashville. Some would say dominating. Didn't lead over half. He led about 139 of 300. Wouldn't call it dominating, but victory is Blaney's 14th of his career, but also guarantees him a spot. 2025 playoffs. Did anybody see? I know I'm not going to say too much about it because we all knew Blaney was going to eventually win, get himself into the playoffs because, Penske, once they're in, they're a threat. So now he's a threat. But Dylan, did you think it was going to take this long to get in victory lane for Blaney? Even though Dad put so much money on him earlier the season and made him blow up. But other than that, what did you think it was? Did you think it was going to be earlier in the season or later? What did you think?
No, I'm surprised that he had all 8 cylinders by the time he crossed the checkered flag. When closing laps, seeing Blaney lead, it made me think of that you kind of did see comers and goers in the race. And, because at the beginning, I didn't really remember seeing him anywhere, top 5 even. I may have just been blind and wasn't paying attention, but I don't remember him being kind of there in the mix at the first half of the race. And so seeing him lead that last leg there in the stage 3 final stage made me think of that as kind of like a takeaway from the race. Between the saves and the comers and goers, that's kind of what I took away from this race.
Yeah, the Blaney got the lead in the end of stage 1 when they stayed out on that cycle.
Right.
Didn't come in as early as everybody. I thought they were. When Letarte goes, I don't know why everybody come in so early like that. I was like, oh boy, we're really trying to flip it here. So is what they were doing. So, but it's not unfamiliar territory for the Fords to run long anyways. Right. So, and then especially another tidbit that I caught today on one of the shows was that you don't have to, your car does not have to be full of fuel to start the race. So some people are starting with more full fuel and some are not. So maybe having less fuel in there, kind of less weight, obviously, is what I would assume. So they can fire off a little faster. Maybe Blaney was on a full tank and didn't, didn't start off as slow. So, but wanted to get Dad's take on Blaney because we know he had money on him this year. Did you think it was going to take this long?
Well, this ain't the first race that he had the better long run of speed. For some reason he keeps his tires. Matter of fact, he only changed 2 on one stop and still done well. But just a disclaimer on my fantasy pool, he was a late addition to my thing. So I picked him, thinking that he would blow up.
Yeah,
because I'm so far. I missed the race, and then I had 2 DQ'd, and so I'm so far out of the fantasy thing. So I'm just looking for people to jinx now. But no, I think he definitely had the long run speed going. And that's not the first time he's had it.
No, we've seen speed, and that's what we kind of assumed it. I don't really want to harp on Blaney because we kind of knew this was going to come because they've had the speed. Long run speed's kind of where their thing's at, and then flipping the script on a lot of the strategies is where their thing's at also. So it all in all doesn't surprise me. What would have surprised me is if he blew it up or something like that. But this leading 139 laps of a race doesn't surprise me for Ryan Blaney and Team Penske over there. So not really surprised about that. Kind of a long time coming. What does surprise me, though, before we get to Hocevar, because I do want to talk about him a little bit with him and Stenhouse's thing, was the fact that Denny stayed out that last run in the end of the race. He stayed out longer than everybody, had fresher tires, and still couldn't go nowhere.
Right.
So that to me, not say it's just a testament of this car and traffic with all that dirty air. It doesn't matter if you got fresher tires, and then the tires didn't really matter because Blaney, took 2 tires at one of his stops and ran like 70-something laps on them. So tires wasn't a big deal. But there at the end, you would have thought it would have made a little bit different, especially with that long green flag run there towards the end with the green flag cycle. Now, I know Denny had his helmet malfunction with the breather thing malfunction. So, Dylan, your take, do you think that would have affected him, since you're the only race car driver on the show, would have affected him and his performance there at the end of the race?
I mean, if you're running top 3 in a cup race, I would like to say no, but I don't know how long he was running without that either. If he had been running 3/4 of the race without it hooked up, that it could have affected a little bit, but I would probably lean towards more of he was still getting all the performance that he could out of the car, and in his situation of being in traffic and all that.
Yeah. So and they talked about it a little bit, but these guys are professionals, so they've probably done it before a time or two with the stuff not working, especially before the cool suit probably. But old man, do you think it had any effect on him?
I thought it was funny that you asked a guy that don't even have a windshield in his race car.
Anyways, it doesn't. What does that matter?
He's got a rock guard.
So. But I'm just saying, like, still, he's been in a hot race car before. So.
I'm just trying to figure out, Dylan. You might be able to help me with this one as well. As aerodynamic as those cars is, how much air gets inside the car?
You don't really notice it.
Yeah,
I think I think you're just kind of rocking all around too much to really notice
you don't want
those things.
Right, you don't want the air in there to buffet against the back glass, So I think there's probably a lot less air in there than one would think.
Yeah, are you talking about in his car? Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Denny Hamlin's. There's a lot of air coming in.
There's probably a lot of like carbon monoxide or whatever CO in there.
That's
There's probably a lot of dirt, dust, and all that in there.
No, I mean, with the carbon monoxide thing, I think you'll definitely be able to tell that. But that's when things aren't venting, so it's probably going to be a lot hotter in the car, noticeably more hot in the car because that air isn't able to escape.
Yeah. Yeah, we got King NASCAR over here. This is Logan over here on the stream. He said exhaust fumes give you more protein.
Hey, there you go.
So Denny shouldn't be complaining at all. I don't even know if he did, but that's kind of funny.
I think they have like Lexan or whatever on the driver window net side just before the window net now.
Okay,
I want to say. So they're pretty sealed off, I feel like.
Yeah, I would assume so. I would assume there. So I don't, but it's still going to be hot. There's no air flowing in that bad boy either. If that's what you're saying, so you got that hot air just sitting in there, nothing blowing on you. So, here you
Did
go.
you, since we're in this realm, have you seen the car like Mark Martin used to drive? He had a helmet or a hose. I don't know if the hose was just coming from the outside or if it was hooked up to a blower setup, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Denny, I don't know. Did you say you watched the Extreme Detrimental? Did he say anything about it?
I didn't watch the whole thing, so I don't know.
Oh,
he didn't get to it while I was on there.
Anyways, all right, let's get off that. Let's go to the host of our thing. Let me see if I can. I kind of wanted to wait on this a little bit just to kind of get a prime topic here going. But let's see if I can pull this clip up. Of host of our doing his thing. Let's see if I can get it here.
The one time you didn't put any money on him.
I know, right? All right. He gets into old Ricky Stenhouse here. After the race, I didn't get the interview. I should have got the interview. But after the race, his first initial thing was, I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of happened. I got to see it over again. But as you can clearly see, only just literally, as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. said, not clear to Jeff Gluck. So
if he said he couldn't see it clear, there's your problem. Because he was right.
He was staring right at it. I don't get it, man. To me, I don't understand. So, but Dylan, your take, hot take or cold take? What do you got on this?
I just kind of ran him over.
Yeah, plain and simple.
I don't know how long they've been. I don't know if they were playing like a cat and mouse game for the past few laps before that, or what, to where it made Carson just say, you know what, I'm just driving through him this time because he keeps aero blocking me or whatever.
Yeah, but if I don't know, we'll play it again here. Just because, to me, if you watch it when it does a little replay here, but Ricky kind of arcs the turn down a little bit, and is like kind of coming to me. I don't know. He obviously here at Hocevar's a lane lower, but Ricky kind of arcs it, trying to get to the bottom, and Hocevar's there. Maybe some confusion there with the spotter or something. Dad, what do you think?
I think he tried to dive bomb me. To be honest with you, but how awkward was it that he was interviewed by Carl?
Yeah.
Before the race, and then after the race, Carl was going, well. So he said, the only thing I can tell you is what Jack Roush told me is, it's going to be hard for you to win a championship doing something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a race for him, know.
And as Carl said on the post-race show, which, hey, Prime's got post-race show. It's fantastic to have that back, especially seeing Carl there. I know we kind of talked about that the other day on Pit Road Picks, but Carl said there is going to be a price to pay because Stenhouse will get you back. And I think what Hamlin said that too.
Yeah.
And so, Dylan, do you see this getting escalated to at Michigan here? Hocevar getting spun. What do you think?
Yeah, I think whatever the next opportunity is for Ricky, he's probably going to make Carson's life hard.
Yeah, I think so. And this could be Michigan could be a place where he could make it pretty hard. But it's going pretty fast there when them walls come up on you here in Michigan.
Then he said he knew one thing for sure in life, that Stenhouse would be getting him back.
Yeah. Hocevar did finish second, guys. Now, yeah, Stenhouse is it sucks for Stenhouse for sure, especially if they're running pretty good there, Mr. Logan. But wanted to get your thoughts on Hocevar as a driver himself. Sticking with the Hocevar thing here. He's fast. No one doubts that. Homie knows how to point it in the right direction. But finishing races is not usually his strong suit at the moment, because Lord knows I put enough money on him that he should have finished all these races and won a bunch of money. But going forward, Dylan, do we see him? I mean, he's fast for sure. There's no doubt about that. But do we see him at maybe a bigger Cup team later on? I know Spire's trending in the upward trajectory. They're getting up there. But do we see him on any bigger team later on?
I would like to say that he is at Spire unless his attitude changes a little bit. Just his attitude towards the big picture. Not just I'm just trying to get a win out here type thing. But if he changes towards the big picture of okay, I can try to make forward momentum to go to championships and try and do that. If that part changes, then I could see him going to a bigger team, because he has the speed, and I think the whole NASCAR community sees that, and they know that he has that speed. It's just he's got to channel it right.
Yeah. Same question for you.
Well, I was just sitting there thinking if they had any affiliations with Richard Childress, and the only reason I was thinking about that, I don't think they do, but if Richard had him as a driver, he'd be taking that watch off a lot.
Well, true. But you know who they're affiliated with?
Hendrick
Motorsports.
Yeah.
Do we see Alex Bowman getting replaced with Carson down the road, maybe? If he turns around his attitude and stuff like that?
That's a good question.
I think he's going to have to be going to church every Sunday and all sorts of stuff to get on Hendrick replacement plan.
Hey, the first thing I thought of was Ross Chastain. We seen Ross kind of not say do this bad, but like Ross pissed people off, and Ross, people said stuff to Ross and nobody ever did anything, which is new, like a thing now. Like, we're just going to talk on Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff, but we're never actually going to do anything in person. But Chastain, no one ever did anything to Chastain until an owner stepped in to talk to him with Mr. H and everything like that. So if no one ever says anything, does Carson just keep being Carson over here?
He's tough to read.
Yeah.
I really don't know which way it'll go, because I always think back to Junior. I think had a talk with him about in the Xfinity series. Mm-hmm. He may have tore all four Junior's cars in the same incident or something. Something like that happened, and Junior had a talk with him, and after that he was like, "Oh, okay," like that. He thought it went well, and then I don't know. Within 6 months later, Carson was back to doing Carson things.
Well, and that Junior doesn't. To me, the whole Junior conversation thing, Junior doesn't have a vested interest in that whole, like, as far as team. But Mr. H to Spire, that's a whole different. That's like a Junior to Junior Motorsports to Hendrick Motorsports type thing. So to me, that if that conversation ever got had, or if they ever like tell him, well, this is how we foresee your future, I think I could see him tightening up a little bit.
I had something I was trying to say, so I want to say it before I forget it. Dylan mentioned he's going to have to go to church a lot or something to get that Hendrick ride. I think somebody's going to lay hands on him before he gets to church.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it Stenhouse laying hands on him or what? I don't know if anybody's going to lay hands on him with all the sponsorship stuff nowadays. I don't think that's going to happen. But, what else are they going to say? They can't fight no more.
Well, what happens in the holler happens in the holler.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see on that, old man. I don't think that old school stuff works anymore nowadays. So, Mark Martin,
it works. It's just expensive.
Yeah, $75,000. Jeez Louise. I don't know.
That's why you get your dad to do it. Stenhouse dad.
Oh man, but no. Dylan, Hostfar got. I think he tied his career best finish here. Do we see Hostfar making it to the playoffs here?
This was as close as he's been to a win, I think. Just I mean, he drove up in the field in a Spire car, right?
Yeah.
And finished second with it. So, like we were saying, like everybody knows he has the speed in the Cup car. He needs to dial back the aggressiveness at the right times when it's not needed. And I think if he does all the right things on that side, then he may find himself in the winner's circle by the end of the year or by the time playoffs start. But we have to look at the schedule and see what tracks are coming up to see about that. I mean, I know we have Michigan next week, so that could be a potential thing.
Did y'all listen to the pre-race when they had him on with Carl?
I didn't hear that part. But Carl talked about it, but I didn't hear it.
Well, they were talking about his aggression and everything else, and he goes, he just don't want to get down the road 15 years from now and say, well, if I was a little bit more aggressive, I maybe could have won more races in a championship or something like that. He don't want to be that. So he's laying all the chips out early and is aggressive now. I didn't think Carl warmed up to that too well, but
Carl's older. He's not 20, I mean, he's 22. Carson Hosworth's 22. Like this guy's got his whole
right, but I think he also you're speaking to a pretty good mentor that can help you with that.
Yeah, but at that age, do you listen to anybody? I didn't listen to you at that age, so
or now.
Okay. Anyways.
I mean, I want to throw this out there. So Dover, Iowa, and Richmond stick out to me for tracks, maybe for him.
It's great. Yeah. I think there's some good tracks. So he's 18th in playoff points, sitting 2 spots out. I think he's only 4 points out at the moment. Ryan Prix sits in front of him, two out. But there's a great chance of him getting in the playoffs, pointing his way in. But he hasn't been as reliable as they need to be, I don't think, to get to be able to point their way in. But I definitely think a win is a possibility, and it could come this year. I mean, I know this is a long shot because hindsight 2020 now, but he could have won that 600 race. Like if that thing doesn't blow up, he's definitely he's up there with Byron and Chastain for that win, I would assume. Yeah, to me, I don't know. I like him, and he's different than I'd say he's different than Ross. He's shades of Ross, but sometimes his smartastic remarks are just a little bit different than Ross. Ross would be the guy that'd be like, I'm not doing that, and smile and not say anything, but at least Carson's telling you to his face he's doing it. Mm-hmm. So he's not trying to hide it or anything like that. So that's one thing I do like about Hocevar. So, and he's fast. He's real fast.
Right.
Anyways, moving along here. Dylan, did you find anything interesting about the Nashville race that is different from any other races as far as like this type of track? I know it's not a mile and a half. It's just under it. But any part of the racing that's different from any other type intermediate type tracks or anything that you would have noticed or anything?
No, I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of a place like Iowa or like a small Kansas or something like that. Well, Kansas race is better than Nashville. But,
Iowa's good. That was small, a little bit bigger Iowa would probably be the best. I think that was pretty good right there. And guess who won Iowa last year? Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney. He won. So you can tell the speed's there. So
that one all of his family was there.
Yeah.
In the stands.
Yeah. That's when Daniel Suarez took out old Larson. So that was interesting that night. But let's go to some points. Well, we'll do the top 5. Ryan Blaney was your winner. Hocevar was second. Third was Denny. Fourth was Logano. Kind of just hung around there. I think he even said he didn't have the race winning car, but he was up there. That 4th through 8th battle, I know Larson ended up 8th, but that 4th through 8th after that last pit stop, they were pretty bunched up, and then they kind of spread out throughout that run, but they were pretty stuck together moving along the field there for a while. So it kind of the whole bottom dominant thing, and then Bubba and Byron kind of got into it, but they had their little battle on track, which was pretty nice. So Logano was 4th, 5th was Byron. Denny took home stage 1. Blaney was stage 2. got a little wild in the second stage with the cautions and stuff like that. I think I got another clip here of, let's see who we got. Who we got? Bowman and Gregson got into it.
Yeah, took out my man.
We don't have no sound, I guess. But yeah. Looks kind of like Bowman kind of just shoved it in there, is what it looks like to me, and then kind of got either bound up and then lost it right into him. So this Larson used one of his 9 lives in this race.
On that one. Yep.
Yeah. So but yeah. Looks like old Bowman shoved it off in there and just lost it. Ruined the Force night. Which they've been needing some. That front row team has been running pretty good. The 38 and the 34, but 4 team needs a little help there. Another incident that happened. I thought this was going to take this dude out of it, but somehow he ended up staying in it.
John Hunter Nemechek in the 20.
How did it play it again? Hold on a second. But I thought this car was done for. But somehow, I guess it must have hit square.
Yeah, and then tapped the left front.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that one was.
He come back with a vengeance.
He did.
Him and Reddick were around each other the rest of the night.
Oh, Reddick was another one, and I know we'll get into that in pit road picks with our picks on Thursday. But Reddick, that was another one, man. Reddick, end of stage 1. Larson is hanging on for dear life. Oh, was that stage 1 or stage 2? I think it was stage 1. Hanging on for dear life there. And Denny and all them are right there chomping on it. Denny, I think Denny, Blaney, Bowman, not Bowman, Byron, and Reddick are all there trying to get around. Not Red, maybe not Blaney. It was Briscoe, maybe, or somebody. I can't remember who it was now, but they were all there. And Reddick got that penalty and then couldn't never come back. I think it was a loose wheel when the penalty. It was a loose wheel is what happened, but never. He was around Larson the rest of the night in the back. Never come up there. So. He was my top 3 pick, but he had top 3 speed, but he just could never get there. So, another one of the downfalls of this car. I think the dirty air is just a big factor in this whole thing. So, but anyways, I don't want to spend too much time on NASCAR. We got Michigan coming up this weekend. Any final thoughts, Dylan? You want to have on NASCAR or anything? Anything you think was that we may have left out there?
No, I think we kind of did a good cover of all of it. Really, I mean. Through the top 10. We already talked about Hosfar, his second place, that sticks out. And then, Bubba Wallace and Eric Jones in 6th and 7th are probably the other 2 that stick out to me as, positives. They needed that, those types of runs. That's good for them. And then just kind of Larson, that, like they said on the broadcast, that team is scrappy. As long as the car isn't trashed, then they tend to be able to turn things around when they're not given the best start.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I don't know. I was pretty PO'd watching the race. Not gonna lie.
Well, I tell you, he was texting all kind of negative stuff.
Yeah, I was very negative. I was like, yeah, it's over with, Larson. We're not gonna have anything to root for. Might as well just watch I told Dad, I was like, no need to watch the in car because nothing gonna happen over there today. So. Just stick with the Prime. Before we go, I do want to say, Prime, another to me A+ weekend for their coverage on the pre-race, post-race. They're offering a ton of content as far as before and after the race. I just want an interview in victory lane for the love of God. That's all I want. NASCAR, can we please make this happen? Like I get, it's cool. Blaney on the Blaney and all the guys on the post-race show stage or whatever out there. But for the love of God, I want a victory lane by the end of this whole thing. Hopefully we get it. We probably won't. But, Dad, your thoughts on Prime? Or go ahead, Dylan.
I was just going to ask you one thing. Well, what if – so I know, victory lane, it's traditional. It's always been, in the infield, except for a couple of tracks here and there. Mm-hmm. What if the whole thing is just on the front stretch? Like, local Saturday night track stuff does. Okay. They park it right there at the start finish.
Like the whole
they
stage?
Bring the billboard up there. Yeah, they get the sponsor billboard behind the car. They do the whole victory lane ceremony stuff. just mobile, set up shop right there, like it's a Saturday night.
Yeah, kind of like how they do at Martinsville. They bring everything to the front.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Just in a victory lane. I don't the front step. You just don't get the same like you used to get like him getting the interview, and they used to do it twice. I felt like sometimes they used to do it on the front stretch and in victory lane, then COVID and all that jazz. But the victory lane stuff with the guys all around, his whole crew, like the energy was different.
Right.
So. And then they may snag a crew chief or somebody or owner or something like that and talk to them. Now it's just kind of isolated, and then you wait till later. So I just like the emotion. So, all right, old man, Prime, give it a grade. Give it a grade.
B plus, A minus.
Okay.
I mean, I like it, but I want to get back to Bubba and Eric Jones. They were my two standouts, but Bubba also come back from a speeding penalty, I think, on pit road too.
Early. Yeah,
he had a fast car.
Yeah,
and the Larson thing about the scrapping, I don't think nobody had more pit stops than Larson fixing that car, because like you said, they both decided, hey, this car is junk. We'll just work on it the rest of the night, and they got it better.
Yeah, once they figured out they weren't moving forward and weren't going to fix. Once they realized what they had, it was over with. They knew that it was like, okay, we're just going to trudge forward and get track position. So. Yeah. So Dylan, your grade for Prime before we leave.
I'm a very pro Prime individual.
Okay. He's pro Prime.
No, I would give it an A minus. I think the Coca-Cola 600 last week was A plus, but it's because of the 600, right? That's going to be kind of extra special. So I would go with the A minus. And then one other thought with this is I finally listened to BBC when they had Larry McReynolds on, and he was talking about the whole network versus Prime thing. He brought up a point. Would you rather have an hour and a half worth of pre-race airing, or would you rather have an hour and a half of post-race airing? Can't have both. But if you prefer one or the other, what would it be?
Post-race. It's post-race for me. I'm a big post-race guy.
I'd have to say so.
Yeah. How about you? Post-race?
Yeah, I would say post-race. I think a happy medium or a good settle would be maybe, that 10, 15 minutes of pre-race stuff. They're still on pit road. You still got all that type of stuff going on for, 15 minutes or so before they fire the engines. And then spend that rest of that extra time in post-race.
Yeah. And Mr. Logan, we agree with you, buddy, on A plus for Prime. And thank goodness Kyle Busch didn't win, because he would have probably smashed his guitar. So we ain't got to worry about that. And other than that, we're good on NASCAR. Now, Mr. Logan, you may want to leave, because we're going to talk about some F1 here. I know you're King NASCAR over there, so you might not want to listen to it. So
hang around.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know. It's we gets pretty weird with F1. So, but anyways, that was Nashville on. I mean, it probably is Gluck poll rated for me. So, but we'll leave it at that. I don't really want to get too much in the weeds on that. So, because I can complain all day about that race car. But anyways, Formula One was at the Spanish Grand Prix, Barcelona, Catalonia, whatever you want to call it. And I think some smart individual on this show, maybe talking at the moment, picked Oscar Piastri to win this race. And I'm just going to say, guys, if you want to tell me on the pit road picks coming up, I'll allow it, because your boy picked a winner once again. So it's I don't know, it's a tough job being the guy that wins, gets all the picks and everything like that. So, but anyways, we'll start out with Dad on this one, since he got to watch it. Didn't fall asleep because it's really early in the morning, so there was no chance to. Father, tell us your thoughts on the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix.
Well, it was a heck of a race on Saturday.
That's it. Okay.
Oscar Piastri won the pole, so that was pretty much it. The only race after that was Max got around Lando, and Lando I did never see him passing. I don't know if he passed him while Max was in the pits or what. I don't know. I missed for some reason.
Did you watch this race?
I watched up to when he was closing in on Max at the start of the race, into it and everything. And then we had to leave for a second. Then we had to come back. When we come back, I started it, and Max was 5 seconds back, but he'd already pitted twice, and the McLarens had pitted once. And I was trying to figure out why he was so close. How did he get so close after another pit stop? So I don't. Evidently, y'all didn't watch it, so y'all can't answer that question.
Tires.
Okay.
This guy. I watched the race. I watched it.
I watched. I just missed that one section of it. But
too bad. There's
I caught the best part. That was toward the end.
Yeah, you sent me. Max should be DQ'd for that, and I'm like,
I'm just saying what the announcer said.
That's a boomer move over there. So.
I'm just saying that's what the F1 announcer said. Then somebody said he should be fired. I don't know, but
boomer.
We were missing Martin Brundle.
Yeah. Martin being off is tough, man. Martin being off is real tough. So.
Yeah.
But
talk about our driver of the day like that.
Yeah, I know, right? The driver of the day should be Nico Hulkenberg, but he got robbed on that. So. Dylan, your thoughts on the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix?
Yeah, like Rick said, exciting Saturday. But it actually was. It was really a good qualifying session to watch. It was a little weird at the end of Q1, Q2 still a little weird, and then Q3 everything kind of, I guess, sorted itself out. But kind of. But as far as the race goes, first lap. If anytime Max is in the first 2 rows, that it's going to be probably a little exciting for the first couple of corners. Just everyone else being on a 2-stop strategy and then Max doing 3 stops. It was a little crazy to see. Just he's getting all the speed that he can out of that car for sure. Watching how many stops. Actually, I guess he stopped 4 times because he stopped under yellow.
Right.
Yeah.
So
ran out of tires. That was the whole issue with that.
Now, part B to this story is, did the fact that he was on the hard tires make his blood boil a little bit, because he was voicing his opinion on the tires. Yeah. And then when the Charles and George thing happened, do you think he was already mad about the tires before he got overhauled by them too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was livid about the tires, and he was. Why you put me on these, man? Why are we on these? Why are we on the hards for? Yeah. But I mean, when you ain't got no other option, that's what you got to go with. And then, did y'all see him save it on that restart? Mm-hmm. Holy crap! Like that. The way that car was literally almost, and things at a 45-degree angle coming off that rumble strip to start that whole thing, and then him getting into it with Charles on the thing, and he hit me, and see, this is my whole thing with the overhead shot. Charles stayed pretty centered, is what I thought, and then they both, the announcers agreed that Charles come over. But it was Max, the one that come over.
Well, I think Max was pushing him to the inside, and Charles says, "I'm not going any further," and he come back. So I think Charles did what Charles needed to do right there. Yeah, Max had 3/4 of a track over there still. Yeah,
I saw. Max, he came a lane and a half or so away from the side of the racing surface, right? Yeah. Which is typical. But right there at the end, though, I felt like Charles was kind of clearing himself. Max should be, back into the normal racing line down the straightaway at that point, but he wasn't. He stayed off of that a lane and a half, but it looked like Charles was starting to come up to me just in that overhead shot. It looked like his tires were kind of changing over the lines in the asphalt, basically. But I didn't look at it super close. I think Max should have been over more, but at the same time, I think it was a little silly of Charles to assume that, you're beside Max. Like you shouldn't assume that he's going to be traveling back over,
Yeah. Yeah. Now jumping to McLaren here. Obviously Piastri got out there, and I know we may have just talked about this a little bit, but did anybody at any point thought that Norris was going to be able to track him down?
Only second guessing at the end of the race if he wouldn't have got passed by Max on the start and they would have been 1-2, we wouldn't have had to be having this conversation because he'd either done it or he wouldn't have.
Well, do you think the traffic late in the race hurt also?
Yeah, I think his chance of doing it was early.
Well, I know that. I'm saying, like, because at one point he did get down to like 2 seconds
right
later in the race, because their traffic was an issue, which is normally not in Formula One, but it was just tough. There was a lot of traffic for these guys, and with the tires, it just heated everything up that much faster. At one point, I think it was like 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4, turn 3 or 4 on that right hander, that kind of lazy, the winding right hander that goes back. There was I think it was it Behrman and Lawson that were racing for position right there, and they got in between.
Yes.
Norris had to get around him, and then Lawson held Max up for actually a second or two, and then that's when Max called them effing idiots or something like that.
Threw his hand up at him.
Yeah. But to me, I thought there was a chance if Norris could have got through there without any issue. There was a possible chance there.
There was a possible chance, but I know Dylan's going to say this, but Liam Lawson he's the Carson Hocevar of Formula One.
But not fast, though.
Well, that's true. He's not fast, but he got into a couple people. I think he ruined Albon's day.
Albon ruined his own day, to tell you the truth. Let's be honest here.
Well, pick on the Williams. Why you want to pick on the guy that went out first?
Well, he
Lawson hit everything but the virtual safety car.
All right, Robert Duvall. Won't you be perfect? Won't you be perfect out here? Well, Lawson about to find himself out of a ride, I believe. So
Yuki's only be back in it.
Yeah, well, that whole that whole situation with Red Bull racing. If I'm Hadjar and Red Bull comes up to me, hey, do you want to jump in? No, thank you. I'm plenty fast for where this car is at right now. Because homie's doing a great job. Another top 10 finish for him. I believe so. What did yeah, he got a top 10 finish, yeah.
Who?
Isaac Hadjar. Didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So another top 10 on that. So pit road picks. Just saying I picked him too. But anyways,
I think we all did.
Yeah, I think we did too. We all did as well. But I'm just saying, like, that whole situation when Yuki's screwed. Like, Yuki screwed himself by going to that. And if I was him, I would have stayed with Hadjar and would have ran up over there, and rather than go over there. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, it looks like the race. That's why I think I said on the text earlier. It looks like the Racing Bulls are a better car than that second Red Bull.
Yeah, that second Red Bull's screwed, man, because you're not. Max is the only person who can drive that car.
Well, when you design a car for somebody,
I don't know.
And even then, he's having to be more on edge than he has been in the past with this current version of the car.
Yeah, he's getting the extra. If that car is producing 80%, he's giving it 100%. Then, like, he's getting the max out of that car. Like, if that car can only get you 80%, he's getting the other 20. Probably getting 25. He's probably getting 105% out of that bad boy, because there ain't no way anybody else is in that car. If it's Yuki, if you put Norris in that car right now, that's a midfield car right there.
Mm-hmm.
Norris in that Red Bull, that's a midfield car. There ain't no way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know. That whole thing, the Red Bull thing, screwed over. Did anybody see? I know down the road, McLaren's lineup years ago, like whenever all this was going down, like, did no one in the garage pay attention to, like, that McLaren set up? Because who else out there has got a great team?
Well, I think the equalizer for that will be the car next year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, depending on who's got the biggest jump on the car performance next year.
We saw what happened to Mercedes when we came into these current regs.
Yeah. Down. Just straight dog water. That's how bad they were. So the whole porpoising thing.
Didn't they have new noses this week? New front wings or rear wings or something like that this week?
They can change those per race.
Somebody
I thought
did.
there must have been. I think there was. Yeah, I don't think Lewis was a big fan.
Lewis got
Ferrari,
outran by Nico Hulkenberg in a Sauber car. If that tells you how that car's doing, that he got outran by that guy. Which Hulkenberg's not bad. That car's terrible, but Yuki rhymes with Dookie. That's pretty funny. Oh, nice one, Mr. Logan. But Yuki. But now, I see the whole. Now that Adrian Newey's on the grid now with Aston Martin, that whole situation is going to be. I know we're kind of flip flopping here, but
well, speaking of that, did Alonso? What did he do this week? He qualified in top.
He was up. Yeah.
Yeah, he's at his first point of the year, I think. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you might be seeing that effect on him.
Could be. I know the Stroll. Lance.
Did you hear about Stroll? Like what he did after qualifying, supposedly?
I heard he cussed somebody out and threw something like that, or hit something. One of the two.
Yeah, like his crew members and stuff in the garage area, I guess. Paddock.
But apparently the what was the wrist thing that was unrelated to that whole thing.
Yeah.
Probably because he couldn't open his eyes after somebody got finished docking him
too much.
I don't know. I think he just needs to go sports car racing. Go. Your dad is up there, Aston Martin. Go get in the Valkyrie over there and just go sports car racing. Just chill out, man. Just go run top 5, top 10. That car's absolute trash over there anyways right now in the WEC. You'll fill right in over there. So might as well just go and hop in it.
I feel like Formula E is more his.
Them guys in Formula E. Nick DeVries over there, dog. Well, Nick DeVries is also in WC for Toyota. So, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know where he goes, but I could care less where Mr. Stroll goes and all his bazillion dollars. So,
I wonder why they didn't. Wonder why they didn't put the reserve driver in.
Because once you qualify,
can't
do it. Can't put a reserve driver in there. And if they knew about it, he was having aches and pains, or if there was an issue, why wouldn't you? Because Felipe Drugovich is the reserve driver. He's a champion in Formula 2. He way better than Stroll probably. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That's
maybe they he didn't want to upstage Lance. They didn't want him to upstage him.
That's gotta suck when you go out and you win the Formula 2 championship, and then next thing you know, you're a reserve driver at Aston Martin.
Yeah. Well, the bad thing about the Formula 2 thing, once you win the championship over there, you're banned. Can't go back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you're if you win like Formula 3, Formula 2, you're banned from them series. So you cannot go back and race down there. So
not just for a year, but like
you're lifetime ban over there. Yeah, so you can't go back down. That's what the whole system is over there. It's like you got to spend all this money to get into those rides because those are paid rides right there, unless you're like a Max Verstappen. But for the most part, they're paid rides, and then you get into Formula 1. That's when you start making money rather than spending money. So, but yeah, that whole thing is Oscar Piastri is a great example. And Lawson too, because Lawson, I don't think he was a Formula 2 champion, but he didn't have a ride, so he was racing Super Formula out in Japan or something like that. That's where he had to go race. So, but I don't know. As far as the race, I'm sorry we got off on all these tangents. We'll do the rundown here of that. Oscar Piastri was your race winner. Lando Norris was second. Third was Charles Leclerc. Dan got the old P3 there on his picks. Some other notable moments. Max Verstappen, he obviously had the 10-second penalty, so he didn't finish fifth on that, I don't believe. Multiple retirements on Kimi Antonelli had an engine blow. That's what the safety car was for there at the end. Go ahead.
That's 2 in a row or 2 out of 3 races he's blown a motor.
Yes, he at Imola. He went
right now. If you're a Mercedes who builds the engines, right,
Yes.
And the Mercedes cars is the one blowing them. Nobody know it. The Williamses and the McLarens aren't blowing any motors.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You got to
straight up.
think about that one.
Yeah. Midfield battle highlights was Lawson and Behrman. That was they were causing all the traffic for Norris and them. And then the England football team was in attendance to watch everything go down. So look at there. But other than that, I'm trying to think anything else here. Points wise, let me go here. I don't know if I got the points pulled up. Son of a gun. Bear with me. I'm going to pull the stats up here real quick. Points. Oscar retained his lead.
Should be up by 10.
And extended it. Yes. Let's go here. Oscar Piastri has 186 points. Lando Norris has 176, 10 points. Was it down to 3? Now he extended it. That was what it was. Yeah. Max Verstappen has 137 points. George Russell, 111. Charles Leclerc has 94. Wow, they have not broke 100 points there yet. Lewis Hamilton has 71 points. Kimi Antonelli has 48. 42 points goes to Alexander Albon, which they had a terrible weekend. Williams did. They ran out of noses for Albon, so they had to get him out of there. Isaac Hadjar, 21 points. Esteban Ocon, 20 points. Hulkenberg has 16 points. Stroll has 14 points. Carlos Sainz has 12 points. Pierre Gasly has 11 points. Yuki Tsunoda has 10 points. Lewis does not have. Does Lewis win this year? No, absolutely not, Mr. Logan. I'll throw that on there. Dylan, you can answer this too, buddy. Does Lewis Hamilton win this year?
No, there's random 2 guys on this this podcast that picked him for a podium spot this week. So,
oh man, I picked the wrong Ferrari.
I don't know if I'd listen to us.
Yeah, you were that other guy, weren't you, on that team?
Yeah, because the other one picked Charles.
Yeah, well, see, what we did, what had happened was, is that with Dad, y'all two went with Albon on Williams. I went with Carlos. That was a dud. And then we did that whole thing with Ferrari. Dad's like, I'm going to pick somebody different. So he did the opposite of us. So, but Lewis does not get a win, Mr. Logan. 0 wins. He'll be lucky to hang on. To me, he'll be lucky to hang on to 6th this year. I think with Isaac Hadjar, that I know he had some bad luck in the first race, but I think Hadjar gets up there with it's going to be a good battle from 6th to 9th there, I think, by the end of the year. So I think Lewis struggles a little bit. So I don't know.
I got to go off on a tangent with this.
Let's go. Go. Hit it full speed.
Why is there such a spread with Leclerc and Hamilton? I feel like they should be nose to tail.
Because Leclerc's better, man. What are you talking about?
Communication.
I'm not going to be the one to say that. I just,
Yeah, Leclerc's better. No. Yeah. I think communication, because somebody was interviewing Hamilton after the race, and they were talking about that, and he said, "Do you have questions for Ferrari?" He goes, "They have no answers for me." Kind of like that. So there's something there, and if they didn't pay him what they're paying him and everything else, you'd almost think, this season he's done with them, but he's not. I know he's going to drive there as long as they'll have him. But, it's not a good they're not in a good honeymoon phase.
No, definitely not.
I mean, it's such a horrible situation because Hamilton was so excited to go to Ferrari. He was like, oh, my gosh, I'm going to Ferrari. I'm racing in red, this and that, going to their whole town that they got over there and whatnot. And now you're just, it seems like every week he's 3 or 4 positions behind Leclerc.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure what, obviously, like you said, communication's a big thing. Like obviously Leclerc's been there for years. I can't remember what 19 or was his for 18 or 19 was his first year there. Obviously Lewis comes from a place that he was the guy and everybody catered around him. Now it's more the other way. Like Charles, they invested so much in Charles. Charles got picked over Who was the other one that was over there? Not was it Sebastian Vettel? Vettel was even at Ferrari, and Charles did the same exact thing over there. Ferrari leaned for Charles rather than Vettel. So we've seen this play out. Vettel won some races eventually, but that was on kind of a better car situation over there. And I think it was a different principle and all that back in the day. But we kind of seen this play out. So I don't know. I everything leans Charles over at Ferrari right now. So he's the future over there. He's going to be there for a long time. So Lewis is a passenger till the next stop is what I think. So they're not going to me, they'll invest, but not as much car wise, I don't think, as what Charles will have. So that's my fault there.
I agree. I think they got the same problem McLaren has with two number ones over there. And
well, I don't think they got
I think ego wise they do.
Yes, ego wise, yes, very much so. But I think Ferrari says, "Hey, Lewis, we know you've always wanted to race one of the horses over here. We'll get you over here. We'll pay you. We'll do whatever you want to sponsor outside of the sport. You're going to be our name alongside Charles for like marketing and all that jazz. Because the stock market, their stock or whatever went crazy when he was announced back in the day, or whenever that was, last year before, or something like that. Kind of like a publicity kind of thing to get Lewis's name synonymous with Ferrari. So I don't know. To me, it's just a ploy. It's not going to last long. So it was good to see them get a win in the sprint race, but other than that, I don't think anything's going to happen. Other than that,
last time you'll see him in.
Yeah, I agree.
Victory.
I agree. Oh man, Dylan,
we're surprised there's not pitchforks at the gates to Ferrari or something.
Hey, who knows, man? Who knows? Dylan, anything else with because we don't really need to talk about constructors with McLaren. Constructors they already won this ball game. Ferrari's in second with 165. If Ferrari's in second, everybody else is screwed because Ferrari has 165 points. It's going to be a fight with them at Mercedes. Mercedes has a rookie driver over there and a gentleman named Boy George that just is that. It's exactly that. So
one thing I like about George, when you put a mic in, there's no telling what he's going to say, and he's going to speak his mind.
Did you say put a mic in him?
His face.
Oh,
mic in his face.
Don't put a mic in him, man. That'd be weird, bro.
No, bad for Mike.
Oh, that's very bad.
But
I think they got a movie about that.
Yeah. Oh man.
But they were talking about he was just going off on Max. When Max don't get what he wants, he gets perturbed and frustrated, and he don't do things like he should.
Yeah. Anyways, Dylan, any final thoughts before we get out of here? But I know we've been here for an hour. I know not all on Formula One, but Oscar did a great job in my opinion. So I mean, what else is there to talk about? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I heard that there was an incident between two guys on track at the end of the race, but I don't quite agree with one of the penalties.
I don't know what you're talking about, Dylan. Fill us in, buddy. What happened?
I don't quite agree with the initial contact on how that was determined, but the retaliation was a little bit that was probably appropriate, I guess, with some points on the license.
Yeah. Well, this is just me, and we'll see if you can remember this. This is Jeddah 2021 Lewis Hamilton all over again for Max because he's going to let George Russell by. In 2021, he's going to let Lewis Hamilton by and then brake checks Lewis. Lewis runs into the back of him, and then Max runs off. And this is kind of the same thing. He lets off and then kind of lets the car just roll right into George's path. And like, hey, I let off for the guy. He didn't go around me. So we've seen this before. This is nothing new. So.
No.
Right. But I think alluding to what Dylan was saying, George kind of dive-bombed him going in thinking he can get that spot. Yeah. And kind of got Max out of sorts to where he had to take the runoff road, if I'm not mistaken. And he come back on ahead of him. because in his mind, he got knocked off the track, by that guy. There should have been something on him, George. I would have been a little reluctant to give that spot back too.
And I heard that the team was just telling him to give
Horner.
it back just in case, and the FIA actually didn't say anything.
No, it was Horner.
Yeah, I wouldn't have told him to give the spot back. I mean, just that initial contact, I feel like that was more on George than Max.
Now they had to tell him.
Go ahead.
They had to tell him a few times to give it back. I mean, a few choice words in between there.
But if you're the race car driver, and like you obviously up to your decision there, if I would have been asking, did they tell us to give it back? Because I'm not giving it back. I don't unless I did something I thought was super egregious. Yeah, I'll give it back. But that, like you said, y'all said it wasn't that big of it. To me, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So I wouldn't have. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't know if George would have even complained after he hit him. I don't know. Was George complaining about he took the runoff road and is ahead of me?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
he did.
Did he?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, if they don't even have to touch, and those guys are on the radio complaining about something.
It's the closest thing to soccer.
Yeah.
When they fall down and they act like they're hurt, they're dying out there on the field, then they jump up once the yellow card comes out.
Them dadgum European sports over there, man. Son of a gun.
If they let me in, it would be a dream for them, because they wouldn't hear anything like that on the radio.
No.
Be a quiet race.
Yeah. Why are you not saying anything, Dylan? He didn't do anything. What are you talking about?
Who is it? Kimmy? I think Kimmy Räikkönen. That'd be more something like that.
There you go. Oh, Kimmy.
Don't talk to me.
That's yeah, exactly. That's somebody we need back over there. That's old Kimmy Räikkönen. That dude doesn't give a crap. So, all right. Is that it, fellas? We're done here. We're going to wrap it. Is that all good?
Yeah, I'm just waiting. Do you think there's going to be any more penalties on Max on that? I mean, they're talking about what's that thing? A couple more points if he has another.
If he gets another
one
incident,
more point.
He's got one more point. He get a ban.
He's got a race ban.
I think they've already got him right there on the edge. So what he's already got is probably all that's going to be given at this point until the next event occurs.
Yeah, because the broadcast team there's wanting to DQ him.
You wanted to DQ him too?
I was just going off what they said.
Oh, okay, sure. But I will say though, if I'm George Russell this week, I am doing, and I don't have that many penalty points. I am giving Max all he can handle, son, because I am going to get that guy DQ'd from one race. Is what he's got a target on his back as far as I'm concerned.
I was thinking you were going to say I'd stay away from Max like Hocevar needs to stay away from Stenhouse.
No. Well, maybe in the garage I'm staying away, but like in person I am, or not in the person, but on the track.
There's definitely not no love lost right there.
No.
I think George is going to, if they're around each other, George is going to put him in a situation to make Max respond in a certain type of way and just kind of get him out of there for a race. Because I mean that they're driver championship points battle, it's not super close, but if Max sits out for one race, George might be right there to take over in the points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree, my friend. We're going to Canada is in 2 weeks. Going to Canada should be an interesting race. I don't see anything changing other than Oscar getting his 6th win of the year. I think that no, you don't really think that. No, go ahead and give us your thought process there.
Well, I think it's going to be a McLaren.
Oh, here we go. Our dad goes with
Probably the one that run second last year.
Don't think so. Anyways, Dylan, your thoughts on Canada real quick.
My whole thing with that McLaren deal is when Norris wins, I'm assuming Piastri is either second place or he broke. When Piastri wins, I don't have a clue. Norris could be second, third, fourth, fifth. It's not like a guaranteed, oh, he either must have had a DNF or he's second. That's the only two places to look for him.
Hey,
That's
or he
kind of
could
my
have,
thoughts on him.
or he might not even made it to the race because he was out clubbing with his guy friends. So I mean,
I think they heard you because they've been showing that girl every weekend.
Yeah. Somebody from Europe stumbled upon our podcast. Knows him calling him gay. So
that's just my
not
perspective.
us. Not us. We didn't call him that.
Both of us.
No.
All three of us. Actually.
No.
That's just my perspective on the whole McLaren situation right now. Norris could bounce back and just go win the next 3 or 4 races. But as far as Canada itself goes, I like the track, so I'm looking forward to it. It's fun to drive on iRacing. So
yeah, there you go.
Just hope it's not raining this time.
That would be nice. All right, guys. Been here an hour 6. Appreciate Mr. Logan for stopping by and chatting. Yuki rhymes with Dookie. I like it. We're going to get out of here. We'll catch you next week after the NASCAR race. After Michigan will be our only race for After the Checkers. Tune in Thursday night when we go live for Pit Road Picks. We're picking for NASCAR at Michigan. So should be pretty interesting. Tracy's going to – I think I won. I think so. Maybe. No, we'll see. Well, we'll tune in to find out who won because your boy over here did pretty good. Won his money back that he put all of his bets on. Other than that, everybody can check everything out at pitroadnetwork.com, YouTube, Pit Road Network, all the social handles, Pit Road Network. Check us out. Have a great week. Everybody be safe, and we'll catch you next week. Peace out.